Welcome, friends, to Dog Grooming Unleashed. We are Leigh and Michelle Caluneo. Our mission is to create a safe, welcoming space for dog groomers and pet lovers to come together to learn, laugh, and feel supported. So join us as we build a community where pet parents and groomers can come together. We also want to help groomers grow in their skills, share their struggles, and feel connected to others in the industry. So get ready to learn and laugh. We're so excited to have you here.
We have a very serious topic. It can be, depending on who's listening. Right, Michelle?
Right.
Doodles. Grooming
Dun, dun,
doodles.
dun.
There
Don't
are
say the wrong thing, Amy.
I want us to try to put ourselves in the mindset of why there are a lot of negative comments from professional groomers, especially on social media. Doodles, there's so many different types. There's
What's your favorite?
Bernedoodles, Labradoodles, Golden Doodles. Hit it, Michelle. What else we got?
Well, yeah, we got schnoodles. We got. But
Schnoodle
I was
Doodle.
gonna ask you though, like, is Gus a golden doodle?
He's a Golden Doodle.
Yeah. Is golden doodles your favorite?
I don't have a favorite.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, I probably should. Okay.
I'll tell you
Me either.
why. This is why. Doodles are a mixed breed.
Yeah.
They've got part poodle, they've got part other amazing breeds mixed in there. And that's what makes them so special in my opinion. Doodles are very special. In the workplace, for me, I love them.
Yeah.
I could do all doodles and be happy. There's a system to that madness. There's a system to how you make that blissful, in my opinion.
I agree.
And that is with the pet clients, building understanding about their dog when it's time, which we're going to get talking about this here in a minute, time to get them on that grooming schedule, when it's time to get them bonding with their groomer, and how all that just sets the stage for a lifetime of success with that doodle, no matter what type of doodle it is. But
Yeah.
that some doodles are herding breeds, like your sheepadoodles.
Yep.
So they've got some of that herding stuff, not herding,
Hurting.
HERDI, herding. And so that brings a little different element into, say, my golden doodle,
Yeah.
and he's got that soft, loving golden retriever heart, and he's got that loving, passionate, funny, but loyal poodle bone in him.
Right.
So as a groomer, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the internet right now with doodles, and a lot of doodles are being spoken badly of in a lot of grooming private groups and stuff like that. And I want to set the record straight, and I think you do too, Michelle. And I want to ask Michelle, who grooms her fair share of a lot of doodles,
Mhm.
and I want to ask you of your opinion of working with doodles in the grooming salon. And when did you start working with doodles?
So, well, I will tell you that I just love golden doodles because they're so dang cute. And because I love golden retrievers, they're my favorite. I'm very open about that. I love
Yeah.
me a good golden retriever. So when I
You
think of all,
had a good golden
I
retriever.
had the best golden retriever. Yeah.
Yes.
So when I think of, hold on, I dropped my paper. I got it.
Come back, girl.
I got it. When I think of doodles, the golden doodle's the first one that pops in my head, obviously. So I think of a big, giant, fluffy dog. A lot of times they have this thick undercoat that mats easy, And so I think the if we're talking about the most important thing with any doodle or any mixed breed, anytime you're mixing, any dog with a poodle, right?
Yeah.
It's going to require a lot of brushing. So I laugh a lot of times when the owners will come in and they'll say, "Well, I'm not going to brush the dog," and I'm like, "We have to because you got like a poodle mixed breed."
But that's good that they told you that, because what does
Yes,
that tell you as a groomer? That's
short haircut.
fine. If you're going to
Yeah.
be honest with me, I love the honesty. That means
Yes.
we need a shorter trim so you don't
Yes.
have to brush him. And we need to tighten his
Absolutely.
grooming schedule every 5, 6 weeks. Can you commit to
Absolutely.
that? If so, let's roll.
Yeah. So I think, it's so important, obviously, that they start coming early on. And so even if they didn't, if someone comes in and the dog's 6 months old, we're just going to start from that point, right? And not be mad at them because somebody told them that they didn't need to go get their dog groom or they just didn't realize it. You're going to start from
True.
there. So, okay, well, here you are, the dog's 6 months, and we're going to go over all the things we need to start doing. Now, and like I said, I always think of golden doodles, but now this dog's large. and it's going to be a little bit harder, but I'm going to work with you and I'm going to try to help you, because usually you would start desensitizing a little bit earlier, but that's okay. We're going to start now, and I'm just going to communicate really well with the dog owner of all the things that we need to do, and how to get this dog in the right direction and down the right path. And then if they say, I'm not going to brush this, I'm not going to brush the dog, I just don't want to, I don't have time or whatever, then yes, we're going to start modifying trims. And that's usually just a full body, 3/8 of an inch. Clip comb is usually my favorite for the not too long, not too short. And typically, if they stay on a 6-week schedule, they can come back, and we're still in good shape.
You may have a few tangles to deal with in the ears or the
Yeah.
tails, and us groomers don't really get upset with a few tangles. We know how to safely and comfortably take tangles and mats out of a dog's ear and tail. We know how to do that without hurting the
Yes.
dog. But if the entire dog is wearing a severe amount of mats, we because we actually are on the team dog,
Yes.
we don't want to put them through anything painful and make this experience of grooming something that they should dread or fear. And groomers, a lot of people say my groomer took my dog short, I wasn't prepared for that when I came back to pick him up. And
Mhm.
I guarantee you that the groomer assessed the situation and assessed what can this dog take in this grooming session, and how am I going to get this done safely for the dog in a 2-3 hour time span, max 3 hours. You can't
Yeah.
expect a dog to endure much more of that in a grooming session,
Yeah.
and us groomers have that in our heads at all times. So we're trying to figure out what we can do for this dog that it will go home without mats. The coat and the skin is clean and rejuvenated, and the dog feels better, and it's manageable for the pet owner, according to what the pet owner is telling me that they are capable of doing. Not It's not just willingness, it is willingness, but are you capable of properly keeping this dog brushed out? And
Right.
if you're not, as a professional, I'd be willing to schedule a 30-minute brush lesson with you and Fluffy here that I just groomed. I love her. The three of us, you can come in. I'll schedule a time at the end of one of my work days, and you can pay me, $30 or whatever it is that I charge for a half an
Yeah.
hour of work. And I will teach you what brush to use, what brush to get then, how to use it, how to safely and properly brush your dog. And I'm probably going to definitely teach you that a nice brush out spray is going to aid a lot in you maintaining your dog between grooms. And I'll show you how to use that and what brush out spray I would recommend you get. Groomers are willing to do that, guys.
We're so happy to do that. And here's my thing on like doodles. I love all dogs, and I love any mixed breed dog. So if you brought me a Newfoundland St. Bernard mix, I would, and it was matted and it was a mess. We would go through all these proper channels to help this owner figure out the best route for this dog, right? So
Yeah.
if that owner was like, I don't want to brush him, he's too big, he licks my hand the whole time I'm brushing him, it's gross. Like whatever the reason, right? I would say,
Yeah.
well, okay, then why don't you come in once a month or every 6, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do, and I'm not gonna hate this dog all of a sudden because it's a St. Bernard Newfoundland mix. So I
Because he's a
think
lot of work.
because he's a lot of
It's
work,
simply a lot of
exactly.
work.
And so my take on, it's weird. Like sometimes I'll even, so many people have doodles. So many
Mhm.
people are beloved doodle owners. And if you want to call it a mutt or a mixed breed or whatever, right?
I don't care. It's a wonderful
I
dog.
when I volunteer at the shelter, they're all mixed breed, right? They're all
Yeah.
adorable, and I'm trying to help them all get home. So it doesn't matter necessarily, if you want to have a doodle or not, right? And if you don't want one, then just don't get one. But there is a lot of people out there that have them and love them. And even sometimes when I'll like imitate like a doodle or do a doodle video, people will say things like, "Well, they're not a purebred." Well, a lot of the other
That
ones I do aren't purebred either. And so I
it
do little
doesn't
mix.
matter.
Yeah, I put male dog in, and you know what I mean, and all kinds of other things. So it doesn't matter. And so from a groomer standpoint, if you don't really care to work on doodles, because they're a ton of work,
Yeah.
and if you're in an area where people aren't consistently bringing their dogs, and you're just shaving matted dogs all the time, we feel you,
Mhm.
and we understand why
Mhm.
you're feeling the way you feel, right? And
Mhm.
and maybe take on less of them, right? Because it's tough. Right.
Yeah.
And if you're, and if you're a dog owner that has a doodle, we're here for you too, because we want to help you. You maybe work on some brushing or getting more on a regular schedule, things like that. So, we love all dogs. And so we want to embrace, the bad and the ugly, right? You know what I mean? And we want to
Yeah.
talk about all of it. But I just want to point out and really put it out there that our job is to help all dogs and their owners, whether they're a doodle or not, or whether they're a purebred or for whatever reason. It's
Right.
important that we're doing our best. If I didn't like Scottish Terriers, then I just would say no to all the Scottish
Yeah.
Terriers. Like, you
Maybe your personality and the personality of the Scotties are conflicting,
right.
and just
They might.
understand
I
that.
mean, I don't know. They might.
I actually work very well with terriers, and I think I must have a little bit of a terrier personality. I'm sure my husband will tell you I do. But
I
as far as doodles
Yeah.
go, I will be quite honest with everybody, and I know Michelle's going to feel me on this. I actually think that they're some of the easiest dogs to work with, even though some of them can be some of the biggest dogs that I do work with. But I can honestly say that they are some of the I can't think of a single doodle that I have or continue to work with in the past that I have or do now that I honestly say that I couldn't work with that dog. I mean, they're quick to trust. They're quick to work with you. So take advantage of that loving and trusting personality that they
Yeah.
have, and teach them how to work for you. That's all they
Yes.
need is the direction. Practice. If he's having a little bit of apprehension about being on the grooming table, then let's practice getting him up and on the grooming table a couple times, and just have him sit there and just talk to him. Maybe have a brush in your hand, and maybe not even use the brush, but just let him know that he's up there to work with you. And I feel, yeah, I have to do that with a lot of dogs, and I'm sure Michelle does too, a lot of different breeds or mixed breeds.
Yeah.
But with doodles, they tend to really actually fall in line pretty quickly with the trusting element of, we need that in our grooming
And
sessions.
you're going to get that inconsistency with them
Mhm.
coming. And so I know the dogs you're thinking of, and those dogs they come with great owners. They
Yeah.
really do. And not even the owners, and not even necessarily because they're brushing all the time, but when they're consistently helping you desensitize. I mean, I can think of a couple doodles that came into my shop and I was like, oh my goodness. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. You're like,
they're
will we ever get there?
yeah, and then, you don't even realize how good it is until you really sit back and think about it, and I'm like, "Gosh, we are doing so," like, I'm cutting your nails and everything, you know?
Yeah.
They're always gonna fight you with those front legs. Just something
Yeah,
about
they have very big wrist bones. Have you ever noticed that on doodles?
Yes.
I think they're sensitive. That's what I
Yeah,
think. That's what
yeah.
I've noticed over the years. I want to
You
talk
run those
too.
clippers and they're like
Yeah, it vibrates. The clippers vibrate a little, and
Yeah.
they've got really big um, wrist bones, especially on their front legs. And I think they're just sensitive. That's what I've noticed. But I
That's why
want
I
us
like
to
doing
talk.
doodle skits because 'cause they're always like
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I want us to try to put ourselves, Michelle, and I'm going to have you run with this first.
Okay.
I want us to try to put ourselves in the mindset of why there are a lot of negative comments from professional groomers, especially on social media. Okay, so let's try to understand that. Let's try to understand what situation would cause a groomer to feel that way so we can maybe put it into perspective for groomers and for pet owners.
So, I think from the, like, someone that works like in rescues and you see a lot of like overbreeding and bad breeding puppy mill type thing,
Yeah.
so I think that that's a big thing too, is the unethical breeding of
And under
any.
socialization of the dogs, they were not
Yes.
socialized. So that
Yes.
means they're not even socialized with people, let alone a grooming salon, tools, equipment, and different noises that don't exist in the world other than in a grooming
Yes.
salon.
So I think when you're a groomer and all you're seeing is or poos, you're just everything's a poo, right? And so
Yeah.
you're just dying for a Maltese to come to your shop, or a dang Yorkie, and everything's a Yorkie poo or a Maltese poo. You know what I mean? And so I think
Yeah.
that, and that's okay because they're cute too,
Oh
But
yeah.
I think it's the unethical. And so if you kind of fall in line as an animal lover and you're in an area where you're seeing a lot of this, or your local SPCA is going to houses and confiscating 300 dogs that are in cages together. Like, I mean, so I think that's as an animal lover, I think there's a little bit of that on the side too, that people get frustrated with. Second, I think, is if you're working in a grooming salon and you're grooming a lot of these really matted, neglected dogs, because let's just say the word that it is. I think that when they come in and they're so thickly matted and pelted,
Yeah.
and you're shaving them, they have skin conditions underneath, hematomas on their ears are happening as you're shaving the
From
ears.
mats pulling. Hmm.
Yes, I mean, so that's hard for us to watch. So that's going to give pet professionals, whether you're working in the vet industry or in the grooming industry, it's going to give us the feels a little bit. And
Yeah.
so what do we do as pet professionals? Is our number one job is to try to not judge. We're going to help this animal. We're going to help them comfortably get through this groom, whether it's us or a vet, right? Because sometimes we can't even do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so bad, we just have to say, like, this dog probably needs to be sedated, and let's just get a fresh start. And I'll do that sometimes. Let's get a fresh start, come back to me in, about a month when things start growing, and we're just going to do a bath, clean up, kind of some spots, and just, we're going to get you on a regular schedule.
So you're
So,
making a plan you're saying, yeah, I can't get this all back to good in one session.
right.
Let's break it up until we get this dog desensitized enough to endure his lengthy groom.
Yeah.
And let's have a couple sessions, a couple weeks apart to get us there. And once we get his coat and his mind in the right place, then we're ready to be on a 6-week schedule.
Yeah.
So
And they're
that
going to
you're
like me.
providing hope, right?
Yes, and the animal is gonna like me so much more. I don't want that
Yeah.
first visit for, and if you got, I mean, and I've had it before. They walk in, and a lot of times they just don't know, and that's where we come in to educate. And
You
they
mean the
just
pet
they're
owners, they just don't
yeah,
know
they're kind
what
of
they're
brushing.
actually what they're bringing into us. They don't
Yes,
realize the condition it's in.
and that's where, like, I don't judge. They come in, they're the nicest
Yeah.
people, and that's aside from. So that's why I talk about, like, neglect cases with, like, the Humane Society and things like that, where these dogs are pelted and matted. Like, that's
Yeah.
different from, like, the lovely pet owner that walks
Yeah.
in with a
Oh,
1-year-old
right.
and just
We're
didn't know. Yeah,
yeah,
and that's
they weren't aware
yeah,
that it wasn't anything that was easily fixed in the grooming salon. They weren't
yeah,
aware of that. But then we gently and kindly educate them on that and say we need a couple sessions here to get it back to good, and we'll be back to good. So
yeah.
no worries.
Yeah, and that's what you do. You offer hope, and
Mhm.
that's like the few times that I've had to send them to the vet where the dog just wasn't really desensitized to grooming. I got in there and tried. There's a lot of, the dog's really upset, and I'm like, let's just, you know what, we're gonna do what's best for him, right? So, and
Yeah.
they'll come back to me a month later, and I always want to see them right about a month after their vet, shave. And I don't do this often, but the times I have, they'll bring
Uh-huh.
them back in about a month, and I'll just, I'll mess with their feet, give them a bath. And so we're gonna do a lot today. They're 100-pound dog. I'm gonna give them a bath, clean. I mean, so it's still an hour and a half groom that month later, but it's just to get them used to me. I want to build a relationship with them and have them work well with me.
Trust you.
And mm-hmm.
That's what
So
it's all about.
yeah,
Guys, we can't have grooming without trust.
yeah,
There's two things that have to be present on the grooming table, aside from a groomer and a dog. Those two things are trust between both. I have to be able to trust the dog too, but I also have to have confidence that I can work with this animal, that I know exactly what I'm doing with confidence, and I'm going to execute this groom with complete safety.
yeah,
I need to have that present at the grooming table, or the grooming session is not going to go well, regardless of dog breed. But we're talking about doodles. So I have to bring confidence to the grooming table. And what happens when you bring confidence to the grooming table, knowing that you trust this dog and that he's in good hands? When you know he's in good hands, there is an unspoken rule of trust that is fed right to the dog right there.
yeah. They know.
They know that confidence that you bring when you touch them. Say, no, I want you to stand. And your hands aren't shaking. Please stand.
Yeah,
They're like, you're afraid of me.
yep. Ha
You're
ha.
shaking. I can feel it. You mean I'm in control here? And then that
That's why
control
you do good
transfers
with
over to the
terriers.
dog.
because
Yeah.
carriers know I don't mess around. I don't baby talk and stuff dogs on my table. Like,
I don't either. In fact, you
mm-mm.
don't have to talk to them much at all.
Nope.
It's all about how you handle
Yep.
them.
I barely talk to him on my table. We're navigating together,
Yeah.
not speaking, and I'm just, I don't need to do a whole lot of talk. The only time I talk is that I'm like, seriously, or I'm like, ah,
Yes. Right.
yeah,
Right. I know. And every now and then I find myself just as we're moving through the grooming session and I'm focusing on my work, focusing on the dog, and I'll look up at the dog and the dog's just like, and I know what he's thinking in his head. I'm tolerating, I'm being good, I'm
yeah,
doing what she wants. And when I look and I have those moments, I'm trimming the legs, the feet, and I look up and I see that in the dog. And I have to say it. You're such a good boy.
yeah,
You just have to remind them of that every
yeah,
now and then. You're doing what I want,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, I think our goal is always to build that relationship,
Yeah.
And so it's hard. I think if I can't imagine just grooming for large doodles every day. I mean, that's a lot. And so I like a good
Yeah.
variety. And so I think
Sure.
too, like when like the third reason, with kind of the doodles is that it's burnout too. There's so many doodles. It's
Yes.
so much work. The first time I started grooming them and I was getting like these adorable dude. I was so proud of myself. Well, now they all look like that. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm just now I'm tired and I know I can do a cute doodle face. And so I think that when you do get some groomer kickback, it's just they're tired. There's just so many
They're
of
doing
them.
too
And
many. That's a great point. I'm glad you said that because I want to understand why people feel that way, why we're
Mhm.
hearing that buzz out there in the grooming world, because I want to understand it. I don't want to say, well, they're just terrible groomers. They don't like doodles. I know better than that. They wouldn't be
Yeah.
groomers if they didn't love
Right.
dogs. So I'm trying to understand. And I think you hit it right on the head. Oftentimes, pet owners would like to see their doodles long and bouncy and flowy, but groomers know 9 times out of 10 the pet owner's not prepared to keep them in that coat. So I've got to find a professional way to talk to them and say, look, I really want to be your groomer, but I want Fluffy to live a happy, healthy life every day. And I want you to be happy too. So let's talk about how we're going to modify this trim. And let's just say, look, it grows. If you don't like it, we choose to do a 1/2 inch guard comb all over
Yeah.
and you're having a big trouble with it. If you want to take some brushing lessons with me, we can. If you want to get him on every 2 weeks, he's in for a bath, condition, and blow dry and thorough brush out, then we can keep him in longer coat. So,
Right.
groomers, we just have to defend our rights to have peace in the grooming salon and not be overwhelmed. And like Michelle said, if you're doing too many doodles, because there are so many nowadays, it can cause you to go, doodles,
Yeah.
just because that's all you're doing. And like Michelle said, they are a lot of work.
Yeah.
They're large dogs with a lot of coat. They're great to work with. It's just a lot of work. And I think maybe that's where the negative comments are coming from. It's not so much that they're not good dogs to work with because I have never experienced that with a
Yeah.
doodle.
I've
So
never and I think it's important to know as a groomer when to call it quits with somebody too. Because
yeah,
if they're just gonna stroll back in every 8 months, you
without
know,
consideration to what you're saying you need.
yeah. And so it's just the owners I've had to let go because they won't stay on schedule or
Yeah,
that they keep bringing me mad at dogs. It's never because the dog. And if
no,
anything, I keep them longer than I should because the dog is so good
yeah,
that I'm just like, oh, like they're just so good. But
yeah,
maybe the owner's a little difficult or whatever, or they won't do anything, or they cancel all the time. And
sure.
then and then it's just. But to me, I never feel bad when I have to let someone go because here's my thing. I think it probably is gonna hurt your feelings a little bit if your groomer lets you go, right? And it's gonna hopefully make you realize that when you go to your next one, that you're gonna wanna listen to that groomer, and so,
Approach it differently the next time. Learn the
like,
lesson.
I've raised 3 kids, so I'm not big on enabling, so at this point,
Yeah,
I've been working with you for a year and a half, we're not heading in the right direction,
yeah.
so I'm not doing you any favors since you're bringing me your dog every 4 to 6 months.
It's not enough. Not
It's,
for not for a
yeah,
doodle or any dog that continuously grows coat for that matter.
yeah. Pace yourself a little bit. And I think that it's hard though. If you work in a shop and that's what you got, then that's what you got. But we just have to love them because they're dogs, and it doesn't matter. Like I said, it doesn't matter what you're bringing me. I'm gonna love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But
On the topic of doodles, so guys, it's you know, doodles are A pluses in my book, and I'm sure a lot of groomers will say that too. It's the beef is for the groomers. The beef is I'm being brought dogs in deplorable conditions or just unworkable conditions because doodles are a high maintenance coat. There's no doubt about it. So pet owners, we're giving you that. They actually are. You've got a dog. It's much like a poodle. Not everybody can have a poodle. They're one of the best breeds. But Doodle as well is a dog that requires, in between bathing, conditioning, brushing, daily brushing, all the things. And if you can't do that, there is another option. We go with a shorter trim so the dog is happy and healthy. Grooming is for skin and coat. And if we're leaving matted and an abundance of coat, we're not meeting the needs of taking care of the doodle's skin and coat. And that is first and most important. But groomers do actually typically love doodles. And it's
yeah.
not a working problem, they're unworkable. It's the condition that they're brought in and the expectations of the owners is not workable.
Well, and let's be honest, I think the internet is a little responsible for like what people want doodles to look like
Yeah.
versus what
Yeah.
they need to look like. I mean, they like the pictures that you see, they're so fluffy.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say this for pet parents that when that you look at a picture of like this huge fluffy doodle, it's usually a matted dog. And so like
Yeah.
I'll look at these pictures, they're like, I want this dog. And I'm like, that dog is so matted. Like you can just see the
Yeah.
furs like sticking and but it looks cute and fluffy. Where like I love like that Brody, the doodle,
Yeah.
because his dog's always so beautifully brushed like that. So if you want like a long fluffy doodle, I'll tell people go look at this guy's page because you can see what a long haired fluffy doodle like looks like, because that's a guy who just has like this doodle with all this long crazy hair. But anyways, I think you see these cute fluffy dog photos and often those dogs aren't brushed out good. So I always try to help people find that balance. I love if you want to bring your dog to me every 2 weeks and we'll do baths and
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, but I'm happy to do it. So
Well,
I think
speaking to that, I think it's important. And I'm glad you mentioned it because maybe a lot of pet owners don't realize, hey, it doesn't have to be a 6 week appointment. If the needs of your dog says every 2 weeks he's here for a full bath condition and brush out, blow dry and brush out,
mhm,
we can schedule that. Here's the
yeah,
price for that. I can do that. If this is the type of coat you would like to have your dog in, we can do that. So I just wanted to put that out there because I'm glad you
yeah,
said it, that people may not, pet owners may not realize that's an option. It is an option.
yeah. Or you can do that from home, and I'm happy to help too. I mean, I love putting the dog on the table and showing people, line brushing and with the comb, and this is really what you want to do. And so
Mhm.
anytime a customer says the word brushing in my shop, I will always follow up with and comb.
Yes.
Yes. So that's so important, so but there's brushing because we've seen people that you can brush over mats, right? So you're brushing your dog, but you're just kind of brushing over the
Yes.
mats.
Can't get
And
the
it,
comb through
yep. And it doesn't get to the skin. And they're like, oh, I brushed him really good last night before I brought him. And I'm like, you did a great job brushing over
the
some of those
mat.
knots. You did a good job. And I'm proud of you.
No, but they're like, I tried. It's like,
I
okay, but
know.
I want you to have success. There's a difference. And
Yes.
here's how you have the success. And the comb, I always tell everybody, your brush and your comb, they're married, but they both have a separate job. Some people
Yes.
say, well, my dog enjoys being combed better than a brush. And I'm going, you can't. I'm sorry. The
Yeah.
brush is going to remove the dead hair. All dogs, whether they shed or not, are going to have dead coat that is constantly rejuvenating
Right.
from their hair follicles. So, we have to brush that out and remove it. Otherwise, it gets interwound in with other hair. Pulling through that with a comb is going to hurt. So, I can't imagine your dog would
Yeah.
prefer the
No.
comb if you're really doing it right. So, the brush and the comb are married, they both have a separate job. You're brushing thoroughly to to the skin, out through the coat, all over the dog regularly to remove dead hair and to brush and distribute new oils throughout the coat too. I mean, I could get really technical on this, but I'm going to keep it real. And then after we've brushed an area, we're going to check it with our comb from the skin all the way through the coat, from the skin all the way through the coat. If the
Yes.
comb can slide through, you did good. You
You
can
did good.
continue on moving to the next area. And a lot of pet owners just don't understand that. They don't know that.
Yeah.
And that's what I teach on my YouTube channel. I go deep onto that kind of stuff so that they really do truly understand what it means to brush your dog and check the work with your comb.
And I think that's what me and you want to do. That's what we've kind of went over some
Hmm.
topics of what we want to talk about. I was like, I want to talk about doodles. Like, I love this top. and I just people get so excited over doodles, right?
Hmm.
Whether because they hate them and they love them, and then they're in a fight, and it's just I just think we all need to come together.
Yeah,
There's just and it's like I said, when I would go volunteer at the shelters and stuff, I would be surprised how many of those dogs would stroll in there. Right? There's a lot of them right now,
yeah.
and so there's a lot of mixed breed poodle dogs, whether they're little or big, that
So
need
that means we
grooming.
need to find some bliss. We need to
Yes.
understand that we are going to have a lot of them on
Yeah.
our schedules and in our homes. Thank God.
And
So
people
what's
love them. They're their
they
babies.
do, and
And
so do
we
groomers.
and we
So what
love
is
them
that
too.
bliss in owning a doodle, rescuing a doodle, and having a good relationship with your pet groomer? What is that bliss? And that's what we talked about today. And
Yeah.
I think we did pretty good.
I think we
Do,
crushed it. Yeah.
do you have
We're
anything else?
we're
I
so
feel
good at
so weird
this.
today. I think it's because it's Friday. I feel so good. I
Yeah,
don't.
maybe it's because that's Friday.
Yeah.
I think if you guys have questions for us, write them in the comments, ask us questions, and we'll probably talk about this again. I mean, we really want
Hmm.
to. This was just kind of like the tip of the iceberg. I think that we could talk about, the kind of the doodle craze and how groomers feel, and the
What tools
separation.
are best to use
Yeah,
with doodles? There's so many areas and so many paths we can go on the topic of doodles, which is turning out to be the majority of dogs in a lot of grooming salons. So it is an important topic that needs revisit
right.
in many ways.
Yeah, and we just have to remember that they're people's animals, and they love them, and if you're overwhelmed by the amount of doodles you have, just try to go find some terriers. Try to find your local Jack Russell Terrier,
And then it'll
and
make you
just
love the doodles.
and you'll be like, what, doodles aren't that bad. Maybe because if you were
Not that
grooming
I don't love my
Westies all
terriers.
day, yeah,
I love working with my terriers.
I
Terriers.
do I do too, but you know what? My
Mm.
fingers, I got 10, and I let them all.
Yeah.
You know how
Yeah.
they can be, those spicy little things. So yeah, but so I think if you're only grooming doodles, you're going to get frustrated with grooming doodles. If you were only having
Yeah.
Yorkies, I think the key to our happiness, at least mine, is a variety. Speaking of
Balance.
Scottish terriers, that's why I thought of the Scotty, because I have one that I just booked, and she sent me a picture this morning of her dog, all adorable, and so I'm so
So
excited
you're
because
excited to get a Scotty on your
yes,
books.
I love variety. So I
Yeah.
think, so yeah, I'm just anytime someone wants to bring me something different, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Goats, chickens, things like that. It's all great. So
I know. And literally, guys, if you check her out on Facebook and Instagram, you will see that she has stuff on there with grooming goats and chickens
so
and
fun.
makes them into movie stars. So if you're interested in
Pretty
looking at that, you
fabulous.
should go check it out.
We want to make all your animals into movie stars.
Yeah. I think I always post well, you always do. I think I always post our socials. Yeah, I do. In the descriptions, guys. So the descriptions of
Okay.
all of our episodes, you can scroll down and there's all kinds of good information in there, but you'll also see where you can find us other places if you want to see us actually putting our talk into action. That's where we're actually grooming or actually with dogs, doing things with dogs,
Yes.
showing that content.
And message us all your
Hmm.
comments and your questions, and we want to know so we can make sure that we can talk about that next time too, just in case we missed something today.
Yes. Good point.
Good
Well,
point.
Michelle, do you think we're ready to close the books on this episode of Doodles?
I think we crushed it. We're so
Crushed
good.
it.
Crushed it.
Well, thank you, honey. It's always good hanging out with you. I'm thankful for our viewers and our
Yes.
friends and our community, our unleashed community. we're we're happy that we're all together, and this is a safe place, whether you're a
Yes,
groomer or a pet owner.
absolutely.
So we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
And that wraps up today's episode of Dog Grooming Unleashed. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. We are truly grateful to have you as part of our Unleashed community. Don't forget, we drop new episodes every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So grab your coffee or your clippers and hang out with us again, my friend, next week. If today's conversation made you laugh, taught you something new, or just made you feel seen as a groomer or a pet enthusiast, please take a second to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. And we'd love to hear from you. Drop your thoughts, questions, or even your funniest grooming moments in the comments. We might just feature your story or question in the next episode. And we can't wait to keep learning, laughing, and growing right alongside of you. Stay kind, stay curious, and keep grooming from your heart.